Hi, and welcome to another episode of the FM Channel podcast. My name is Claudio Rojas. I'm one of the co-owners and senior recruiters at Alex Young Recruitment. I'm really excited today. Our special guest is Kath Fontana. Welcome to the show, Kath.
Hi, Claudio. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. So for everybody that doesn't know, Kath is currently Managing Director at Mitie Projects, but she's also the current President of the RICS, which is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, for those that don't know as well. And if you've never tuned in before, just as a kind of intro to the show, basically, I started recording the FM Channel podcast last year in a bid to hear different people's journeys into the FM industry. You see how they got into the industry, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, what they think could change perhaps, or how it's changed, and just a general chat really in a bid to inspire other people within the sector. So thanks for coming on the show, Kath. So we'll get straight to it then. So before we go into how you got into the sector, into the FM industry, Can you tell us what you currently do and who you do it for?
Absolutely. So right now I'm Managing Director of Projects for Mitie, and many of our listeners I'm sure will know who Mitie are, but if they don't, we're the biggest facilities management company in the UK. Our turnover is 3.4 billion and we have 77,000 people roughly in the UK, and Mitie delivers a huge range of facilities management activities, single service, right up to huge complex TFM projects. So everything. My business sits within the technical services business, and what I do now is I look after a team of just over 1,000 people, and we are primarily focused on designing, installing of assets. So we do installation work for M&E. We've got a roofing division and we've got a general refurbishment division. And we work on projects from about 50k up to 10, 15 million. And there'll be all sorts of different projects for our customers. We work 3 channels. So we obviously work for our Mitie clients. So where we've got big strategic accounts, we often undertake work for them. Excuse me. We work for direct clients. So typically, that might be a hospital or a university or private sector organisation who want to do building services replacement or a roof replacement. So as an example, I'm currently working for Amazon, doing some refurbishment and lighting rework for their warehouses. So all sorts of diverse client base. And then finally, we work as an M&E subcontractor to tier 1 contractors for new build.
Right, okay.
As well.
Excellent.
So we've got a really diverse range of skills, and we've got a really diverse range of clients. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
Excellent, thank you for that. And how's it been for you guys? Because obviously projects, I guess, is the first thing that gets, well, I'm assuming it's the first thing that gets pulled during a recession or kind of a bit of a crisis. Is it been just like that for the last year for you guys?
Yeah, look, I mean, the whole of the construction industry was quite significantly impacted by COVID. I think we were a bit luckier than most because we do have quite a lot of loyal clients, and a lot of our work carried on site. So I think our work in hand was fine pretty much. The big challenge was customers commissioning new projects. So lots of people have put things on hold over the last year as they reassess their property strategy, or maybe their business is struggling a bit, because of COVID. So we did do quite a lot of work in retail, and that was just switched off completely. So, we're lucky in some ways that we're in some resilient sectors, public sector, but certainly, I don't think anybody's come out of COVID completely unscathed. But for our business, definitely, it's been a really tough year, but I'm proud the team have come through it, and I think we're a leaner, fitter, more agile business because of it, actually.
Yeah, you hear that a lot, actually. I think a lot of people are saying that if businesses survive this kind of, this crisis, then you are going to come out the other side, hopefully stronger. But it's definitely testing times indeed. So
it's
that's
been a bit
you.
of a white knuckle ride at times, for sure. Yeah,
God, tell me about it. For us as well. For us as well. Recruitment is kind of, it's a roller coaster anyway, because obviously you deal with people, and this is just added to it really. So it's definitely been crazy, but it's picking up. We are really busy at the moment, which is great, and I think we're seeing more senior opportunities come through as well, which is even better, because we've been busy at the kind of the ground level, if you like, kind of maintenance engineers, supervisors, the kind of junior management. But I think the senior level appointments kind of always quietens down during a bit of a crisis. But when it kind of starts to pick up, I think that kind of it's a good sign in my
look, there's definitely lots of green shoots of recovery. We're definitely seeing an uptick in the order book and new inquiries and stuff like that. So let's hope we're on the up now.
Cool.
I hope so.
Touch wood.
But what I do know is the business is incredibly resilient. So I feel like we can deal with anything really now. So
that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's go back then, because it's about you. Let's go back to the beginning of what was your journey? So you're MD at Mitie Projects. You're also president of RICS. I'd like to talk about that at some point, but tell us about your journey. Where did it start for you? How did you get into the FM sector?
Yes, well, so I left university with a degree in politics.
In what, sorry?
Politics.
Oh, politics, sorry.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, I thought you said something completely different. I was
cool. Okay. So that was my starting point, and I got a job when I left university in local government, and I went to work in social housing.
Yeah.
And I was an estates manager in social housing, and I managed about 2,000 tenanted properties. And I did really enjoy that job. I actually did my Chartered Institute Housing. But what I found really about the role was that the bit of the job I was really interested in was the buildings. Mm-hmm. So I used to, I was client side then, of course. So sure. I used to commission quite a lot of schemes for these residential properties, a lot of external decorating schemes, asset upgrades, etc. So I did loads of that, and I really enjoyed it. And I worked with a contractor who were our professional services contractor called Serco.
Oh yeah.
So Serco had a business at that time called Serco Property Services that did surveying, architecture, engineering, plus they ran maintenance contracts as well for local authorities. And they won a new contract with a new London borough. And because I had a really good relationship with them, I got a tap on the shoulder to say, why don't you come and interview for this job?
Yeah.
And that was quite a big move for me, because I was pretty committed to this. I'd done my Chartered Institute Housing. I was a housing person. That's the direction I was going in. Mm-hmm. But actually, it was a really exciting opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so I jumped in, really. And I ended up, eventually, I ended up as the commercial manager of the whole of the practice, which was probably about 100 architects, surveyors, and engineers. And so that was my kind of entry point, really. And then I decided to go off and work in sales for Serco. So I did that for a year, and won a couple of big housing maintenance contracts.
Yeah.
But sales is not for me, really. I love sales and I like selling, but I don't want exclusively do that. I found the kind of peaks and troughs, and it's quite lonely actually being a salesperson. I think you're not part of a long-term team. I just found it wasn't for me. So I moved on to be, and what I would consider to be my first real FM job.
Okay.
The contract manager at the National Physical Laboratory in Teddington. So I looked after all the services there, very diverse, logistics. I had a 400-seat restaurant, all security, really complex maintenance operation, mm-hmm. Maintaining labs and things. So a lot of clean room, huge cleaning team. So it's a really complex operation, and I really enjoyed it. It was really exciting. And so Serco had a really excellent training program at that time. Mm-hmm. And I went on their global leadership program and really kind of developed my skills, really. And they invested a lot in training and development. And I would probably say that that's where I really honed my facilities management skills. I started to really understand what it was about. So that's how I got into it, really.
Excellent. Did you have a mentor at Serco?
I did actually towards the end as part of the global leadership program. Yes, I did, and I'm not sure I had the best experience really with that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I have had mentors since. They've been very effective, but sometimes I think when mentors are in your chain of command, it can just get a little bit difficult because clearly you want to be able to talk to your mentor about certain things, and it didn't quite work for me the first time around mentoring. But I learned a lot about what I wanted from a mentoring relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
That's interesting.
That was my entry point, yeah.
Sorry?
That was my entry point. And I have to say, Serco were a fantastic business to work for. They really invested in training, development, just a good business, really.
That's so great. It's so great to hear that companies that will talk about it and sell themselves on it and then deliver it. Because being in recruitment and having been in the game for nearly 20 years now, it's one of the main reasons a lot of people end up moving on, because they just don't get the training and development that was promised to them. And this is at every level, anything from an engineer through to director. And you just can't oversell and then underdeliver at interview stage and say, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is the structured career path, and we can train this, develop that career, and then it doesn't happen. People get disgruntled and they leave. So it's so great to hear that Serco did that.
Yeah, and I actually think that training and development is so important in facilities management, because still, I would say the vast majority of people coming into facilities management don't come into it with a professional qualification. I know you can do a degree in FM now and etc. And I don't know the stats, but my sense is that most degrees in FM are mature candidates that people want to get that, that professional qualification. But I think, it's so important to invest in training and development of your people, especially in FM, where a lot of people come in from other industries or from the military, and actually it's quite a technical professional role that requires a lot of expertise, and I think we must train and develop our people.
No, definitely. We are seeing more people. Excellent. No, we are, just to go back on a point that you just brought up there about people being mature students going to do the degree in FM. I think you are right, but we are also seeing a younger generation come through and selecting FM. Not as many as you would want, but I think it's definitely starting to be a chosen profession and kind of a university route for people, which is great to see.
Absolutely. And if you think that, the facilities management industry, we are bigger than the construction industry in terms of headcount and revenue, actually, in the UK. So you would think that, it would be much more of a career of choice. And I, to some extent, I think the pandemic has been very, very tough for a lot of facilities management professionals and organisations, but it's definitely showcased the importance of what we do and the fact that we are pretty strategic, actually, and that we are fundamental to the success of any business.
Definitely.
So I sort of hope that we're able to carry that torch forward, really, and attract more people into the industry. Because we're an aging workforce as well. So no,
absolutely. Yeah. I think you're right. I think during the pandemic, it's definitely its profile has kind of been raised a little bit. I think, and you just
we wanted to be in the boardroom, and I can certainly assure you that we have been in the boardroom in the last 12 months. The profession.
Cool. So how would you say that, how has the FM industry changed since you first joined it back in Serco? How has it changed sort of between then and now, would you say? What are the kind of the major points maybe?
That's a brilliant question. Well, look, I think definitely the big thing for me is technology. And the way that FMs use technology and analytics now. I mean, look, I started, I'm probably disclosing my age now, but I started work before computers. So yeah, I know, and I used my first computer when I went to Serco. So so that's how it's changed for me. But the technology, especially I would say in the last 5 years actually, but technology is dramatically changing facilities management. I think that's one of the things.
Definitely.
I think another thing is that it's definitely become more sort of service oriented, if you like. So it's not as transactional, it's much more about well-being, it's about facilitating great environments, all that good stuff, which is really good. I think people now make the link between productivity, well-being and great facilities management. Really good organisations do make that link. So I think the kind of emphasis of the outcome focus rather than clean this room 3 times a day focus, you know, I think for some, not everybody, but for a lot of certainly smart customers are now seeing FM as an enabler to their business success. That's changed. Technology's changed. And I also think that the other thing that I would say has changed is the professionalization, really. So I think that we're definitely seeing a lot more standards. So, you know, there's an international standard for FM now. We're definitely seeing a lot more kind of thoughtfulness in terms of training, development, education pathways. So I think it's grown a lot as a profession since I joined it in the 90s. Yeah.
Excellent. No, that's cool. It's interesting what you said about technology. It's an interesting one because I hear kind of mixed reviews from people that we're kind of, yes, we are starting to use technology and it's great, it's out there, but and some saying that the FM industry is kind of a bit slow on the uptake and we need to kind of make sure that we're kind of using it more and taking ownership. Otherwise we could potentially become outsourced by technology companies might kind of buy into the industry. I don't know whether, what do you think to that? Do you think that's a bit
I think
far-fetched, or? I
think that's a stretch, that final. But what I would say is that there was a huge burst of technology innovation in the industry in the 90s with CAFM systems. You know,
drilling downstairs. Can you hear that? Sorry about that. They're renovating the restaurant for about the 4th time in 2 years, I think.
Contractors, what are you going to do? So I know, hopefully it's not my guys, but or maybe I hope it is actually. But keep them busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, technology. So there's a huge burst of technology application in the industry, 90s, early 2000s, with CAFM, and then the rollout of handheld, and then I think the industry, my perception anyway, is that the industry really stagnated for ages, like years of stagnation of, right, that's it, we've got our CAFM system, we've got our handhelds, we're done now, that's our technology sorted. And I think in the last 5 years, we've seen another wave of technology with IoT, with analytics, with cloud computing. And actually, the IT we initially, the first wave of IT was about operations and make us more efficient and more compliant. The second wave of IT that we now see in facilities management is about making us smarter, giving us more insight, helping us to predict the future better, be more service responsive to our customers. Customers can kind of get stuff on demand. So it's quite interesting to see the waves of technology that have come through FM. I think we're on that second wave now.
Okay.
So I think when you say people think that we're not ahead of the game, it's because they think we're still they might still be on the first wave.
Maybe, yeah, but perhaps. I think that the person that I spoke to was just saying that, yeah, we kind of, FM needs to embrace it more. I mean, he's a big advocate for technology and prop tech and saying that there's so much more out there. And if we're not careful, the extreme is if the industry doesn't kind of pick up on it more and run with it and go with it, the technology companies might end up buying into the FM industry themselves, delivering it, and then using us as subcontractors on the side. So he said that obviously that was the extreme kind of version.
See where they might be coming from with that. Yeah. But I think that forward-thinking companies are absolutely on that march now, and forward-thinking customers. You know, FM with technology is a lot more scientific, a lot more data enabled. So, you know, certainly at Mitie, it's a huge drive for us in terms of our strategy. And I think that forward-thinking customers, you know, it's not even that forward-thinking, to be honest. If you think about the technology you've got in your car or even in your home, you know, I can switch my washing machine on from the office if I want to. And I've got a smart washing machine. So, you know, it's not that much of a stretch, really, is it?
No, it's true.
It's here already. It's just a case of, you know, it becoming mainstream. Absolutely.
Cool.
It's unstoppable, Claudio.
Yeah, it is. No, you're right. It is. It is
Yeah.
unstoppable.
Yeah, you might as well get on that bus because it's going anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, can we just talk about the RICS? Because you are. It was November, wasn't it, that you became president of the RICS? And I've done a bit of research. If I'm not mistaken, you're the third female president since 1868. Is that right?
Yes.
That is phenomenal. That is. I mean, you must be so proud of that achievement.
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah.
So tell us, because obviously you've got facilities management. You don't normally associate FM with RICS. Well, I kind of don't. I always see it separate. And construction. I mean, I don't know if is that a fair comment. Sorry about the drilling, but
it's okay. Well, you probably expect me to say it's not a fair comment, really. And I am a third female, which I'm really proud of that. But I'm the first facilities manager ever to be. Of course, I'm a chartered surveyor as well. So, but you know, my profession is chartered surveyor. My career is facilities management. So
tell us about that journey then. How did you get from FM to president of the RICS? And that is superb.
Yeah. Well, so I'm a chartered facilities management surveyor. So there is a branch of the profession. And I was one of the first 4 people in the world to qualify as a chartered FM surveyor. Now, what I would say is that surveyors have been working in FM forever. There's tens of thousands of surveyors that work in FM, hundreds of thousands probably. So you think about your commercial managers or perhaps your technical services managers. Many of my clients, lots and lots of people in FM are chartered surveyors. Because it's, you know, if you think about it, if you look at any one time in the built environment in the UK, especially, 98% of the assets are already built. There's only 2% of the asset stock at any one time that's in new build. So the vast majority of built environment activity in this country is in operational buildings. So therefore, it's a huge part of the building and property life cycle. So there's loads of people in FM who are surveyors already. So they're not separate. They're very intertwined. But my journey, when I qualified as an FM surveyor on a pilot scheme, when the RICS decided that it was going to offer that opportunity to facilities managers, I did what's called the assessment of professional competence, which all surveyors have to do. And part of that is there's a schedule of activities that you have to evidence that you're competent to do. And I was really frustrated when I did it because it was clearly written by a quantity surveyor and a building surveyor. It wasn't that relevant to what I did as an FM. And I managed to get through it because I'd done enough of it, but I was frustrated about that. And I thought, if I get an opportunity, I'm going to try and influence that for other people in the future.
Excellent.
And I did get an opportunity. So I got an opportunity to join a facilities management professional group, which is a group of people, as the name suggests, who drove the kind of professionalisation of FM in the RICS and the standards and stuff. And we did change that APC. So I joined that group, and after 3 years on the group, I was elected the chair, which is great. And then as part of that, I was part of the team that brokered the relationship with IFMA. So RICS and IFMA have got a strategic global alliance. So I was part of that. I just gradually got more and more involved in, developing standards as a spokesperson, stuff like that, really. And then I got invited to go onto the RICS's management board as a non-exec director, because of course, by then I was quite senior, and I think they thought I had a good business head on me, so I got invited to do that. And then I started to think, do you know what? I really want to influence this organisation. I'm going to go for president if I get a chance at that. So I think there's a bit of a theme. If I think about my career and the things I've achieved, it's often about thinking that's my goal. As soon as I get a chance, I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to go for it whether I'm 100% ready or not. Which is kind of the way I roll. So yeah, I just went for it. And that's going to presidency is a hugely rigorous process, as you can imagine. And it's definitely a one-shot weapon. So you go for it once, really. Most people would just go for that once.
So what does that involve then?
The process. Okay, so first of all, you submit your CV and a very, very detailed and long application form. And then you get through the SIFT. and there's a very strict marking scheme to get through the sift.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have an interview with about 12 people who ask you lots of very, very difficult questions.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to do a personality test plus a numeracy and literacy test, plus they do a background check on you to make sure you haven't got any nasties in your Facebook from your rave days or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, or anything bad in your past that you might be ashamed of.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which I didn't. And then at the end of it, the final bit of it, and that takes months. And then the final bit of it is you do a pitch.
Yeah.
Pitch to governing council. You and normally there's 2 people going for it. They get down to 2. You both do a pitch, and then you go and wait in a little room on your own while they decide, and then they vote. So it all comes down to that. So like your whole career, the pinnacle of your career is coming down to that 15-minute pitch. Wow,
amazing. Well done. That's an amazing achievement. So good for you to take us through that as well. So cool.
Yeah. And I suppose like what I learned from it was that, you know, going for it, most people are successful as they go for it. And they're prepared to fail.
Definitely. So where do you find the times? I mean, I'm guessing that took a lot of time. Obviously, you're MD for Mitie. It's where did you find the time for everything?
Yeah. So it's been really, 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 really busy this year. This last 12 months with RICS and obviously COVID and Mitie, my job at Mitie and everything. I think a couple of things. I've been lucky. Well, not lucky really. You know, everything I'm doing for the RICS is completely digital. Mm-hmm. I'm president of the spare room, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm not going around the world, you know, at receptions and meeting people and doing speeches as I thought I was going to be, which would have been impossible, really, perhaps, I guess, with a day job like I've got. So doing it digitally in different time zones has definitely been helpful. But disappointing as well, of course, because clearly I would like to have done the international travel and the.
Of course, yeah.
It is what it is. It is what it is, and I've got nothing to complain about. The second thing is, no doubt, I sacrifice any hobby outside work.
Right. Okay.
I don't do anything else.
Yeah.
At all this year, so it's everything is put into work and RICS at the moment, but it's not forever, and it's once in a lifetime. President.
How long are you president for?
1 year.
1 year.
So I've got about 6.5 months left. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, this year seems to be flying by, so it's.
Sure does. It's nearly the middle of the year.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. So you know, it's really good, but yeah, it's intense. Definitely.
Cool. So a couple more questions then. Going back to the FM sector, what do you think that the FM sector could do better? Where could it improve, or what could it do better, do you think?
I think that we need a much better procurement methodologies. And what I mean by that is I think we need to get a much better handle on asset data. I think we need to get a much better handle on, and this is quite, you know, mundane stuff really.
Yeah.
But, you know, working in supply chain over the years, for every business I've worked in, I think we see a lot of tenders come our way where there's just not enough information, not enough asset information, you know. So I just don't think people have got enough information about the quality of their assets, the number of their assets. I think life cycle planning, thinking ahead, I think it's still quite, FM, if you think about it as the whole profession, is still can be quite reactive. And I think that, you know, especially with carbon zero coming up, we really need to think about these assets and how we're going to improve our buildings. Yeah. So I think getting that baseline data right and people really understanding their buildings and really understanding their stock and understanding what they need to be carbon zero by 2030, which is not that far away.
No, it'll soon be upon us.
The last 8.5 years is gone.
Yeah.
You know, will be upon us. So I think the whole industry needs to pull together to really get a plan for carbon zero.
Okay.
And FM should be leading that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's interesting what you say about the knowing what assets you've got and what condition they're in, because when I speak to account managers or mobilization managers and directors within businesses, and there's when they're mobilizing new contracts, they're saying, well, this job's been undervalued, underpriced, because there's way more kit than we actually initially thought, or the list had that we were given to us, and X client before us or contractor before us gave us this and it was incomplete, and it's just and then kind of, we've gone in and agreed this price, and it's going to be a nightmare to run. So
I think in that scenario, the only guarantee you've got is that your price will be wrong. So it'll either be too cheap, in which case the supplier's got a huge problem, and potentially the client's got a huge problem as well, really, or it's overpriced and then the customer isn't getting value for money. So, it's a foundation of a lot of our problems, I think, in industry. Is poor quality data.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't
it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I just think it's such a huge thing to tackle. But if I was a customer, I would be investing in asset data and understanding my baseline position, so that I could then plan for the future and have accurate tenders and plan my net zero reduction strategy, and etc. So cool. I think that's the one we've got to get sorted out.
Great, thank you. And finally, what would your advice be to somebody just starting out in the industry? So someone who's maybe, been in it for just a few years, maybe 3 or 4 years, they're just starting out, and they see this video and think, well, I want to be where Kath is, or achieve what Kath achieves. What advice would you give them?
So I think the two things that I would suggest really in that situation is, firstly, get some professional qualifications.
Yeah.
Invest in your training and development and make yourself professionally competent and respected that way. I think it's so important. And there's lots of options to do that now. So get some professional qualifications, invest in if your employer doesn't want to invest in your training, I would invest in it yourself.
Yeah.
Money well spent. And then the second thing is to start to think about having a plan for your career and where you want to get to, and then start to really proactively manage that. So getting yourself a sponsor, getting yourself opportunities to meet the people you need to meet. Networking is really important in any industry.
Yeah.
And I think that, get yourself a professional qualification, surround yourself with good people, get yourself in a good network of people, start networking, meeting people, and take a few risks, maybe go for that opportunity that you don't quite feel ready for, but push yourself a bit.
Yeah, no, definitely.
The people that stand out for me are the people that are, really proactively managing their careers and investing in their own personal development.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. That's great advice. And it's funny what you just said there. I think, is it a Richard Branson quote? I think I saw somebody post it on LinkedIn the other day, something about, if you're not sure about the job you've just been, or take the opportunity that you're not sure that you can do, and learn how, say yes, and just learn how to do it.
And work it out.
And work it out when you get there. So something similar.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's boundaries to that, obviously. I wouldn't say that if you want to go and be, a nuclear engineer, clearly. But, within the right boundaries, I think you've got to really push yourself, because, there's so many fantastic opportunities in FM.
Yeah, there are.
So many opportunities. I think, and one thing I really like about FM is, you can go a really long way in this industry from, from the front line, if you want. So there's no limits to people's opportunities in FM.
No, you're absolutely right. And I meet so many as well who maybe started on front of house, reception, post room as an engineer. And, it's the mindset, isn't it? You don't have, if you want to do that job forever, that's fine. But then it's kind of there's people that don't, you can actually get somewhere quite far as long as you apply yourself and kind of get the right route, really.
Growth mindset and the right attitude and investing in your personal development, sky's the limit in FM.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
It's great to hear. Kath, really appreciate your time. I know you're really busy. Thanks for this. It's good to finally meet you and put a face to a name.
Absolutely. Likewise, yes.
No worries. Great. Listen, speak to you soon and have a great weekend.
You too. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.